Welcome to Chillin In Da Lounge. Hey guys, it's your boy Perry, and today we'll be looking at a interview of Neriah Shiloh. Some of you may not know who she is. I didn't know who she was until I saw this interview, and we can go ahead and take a look at it. But before we do that, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at this video, and we'll talk about it as we go along. All right. So just absorb it and let's move.
All right, Neriah, I want to say welcome. I Never Knew TV, right? Appreciate you guys coming up.
Thank you.
We're going to get right into it. First question I have is, I would like to ask about, I heard you speak about this in the past. I'd like you to speak about it now. Can you talk about the strategic destruction of black men and how the black community assists in the destruction of black men?
Sure. So in order to really get a full understanding, we need to go back. And we need to go back into about the 60s, when up until that time, black families were getting married at the highest rates. They were out marrying whites at that time. When the welfare system came into play, they created the man in the house rule, which remove men from the homes, in which the government now became the men of the family. So with that, it started to perpetuate a feeling that women started to feel as if they didn't need men anymore. Then on top of that, we had the feminist movement. So that also started to perpetuate the independent, strong black woman. That label started to be put on us as well. Then you go into the 80s, then you got Oprah that comes into.
And guys, if you don't know what she's talking about, I think she's referring to, like she said, a welfare system in relation to, talking about, I think like Section 8, where the government helps and aids females in, they're living, they get food stamps, they get stuff like that. And for that reason, at this point, in order for you to receive those things, you can't have a man in the house. You probably got to be making a certain amount of money, if I'm not mistaken. And then she also goes on to refer to the feminist movement, where the feminist movement is where women now are looking for equality, to make about the same as much as men, just to have the same rights as men, basically. And then she also moves on to Oprah, which now you see Oprah was one of, I don't know if she was the first, but I think she might have been the first black woman to start her talk show, if I'm not mistaken. I've never checked it, so don't quote me on that. And, so that's like, it's like step by step, and with Oprah, it just gave women the visual that, women can be strong and powerful and have their own talk shows, and they can basically do what they want as well. So let's move on. Let's continue.
Play. So from that, it's like, okay, women now are starting to be on television. We're starting to produce movies and books. You got Terry McMillan, How to Get Your Groove Back, and all of this stuff. And then women just started to think like, hey, I don't need a man. At which time now our men are being incarcerated at high numbers because of the crack epidemic. They're dying, jails, all of these things. So now they're starting to look worthless, right? So if I'm at the time, they weren't CEOs and CFOs at the time, the women, but if I have an office job and I'm making $50,000, $40,000, what am I going to do with this man? I don't need him. at this point. So then it just started, we started to teach that. We started to teach that to our girls. You know, we started mothering our sons, teaching our daughters to be strong and independent. And then you have social media, which now came into play in this new century of big baddies and boss chicks and all of that. So I think that it's an accumulation of things. I think that I don't want to say the man or the government. I think they started it and we picked up the baton, black women, and ran with it. Because at this point, we really think there's no use for you all. So,
Wow, that's sad. I mean, to tell you the truth, when you look at, this time and to see how women treat men and basically, put them down. And it's true. Like you can see it. It's clear as day. And that's kind of messed up. It's really messed up because you see a lot of people talking about men and the stuff that we go through, especially black men. Like, we go through a lot and we're not understood. You know what I'm saying? People don't, I can understand if you don't understand, you don't see it. You may not feel fully recognize that men, all we do, we work hard. We do a lot, and it's not, and we're, especially as black men being incarcerated, we got to go through all the struggles of life, and it's not easy compared to other men like white men, or the ones who are basically, what's the word, they're not like us. We had to start from the bottom with nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. I usually, in the black culture, we tend to follow trends very easily. We start trends and we follow trends, and it's basically became the way of life here in the States. So I can see that. It's very sad though.
You know what's wild? Um, I was speaking to a lady one time, right? And she didn't say that black men are useless. She said she was taught indirectly that black men, and this is an educated young lady too. She was taught indirectly that black men are useless. And it was kind of wild in the sense that here you have an educated person who is married saying that. I was taught indirectly that black men are useless.
and I'm not surprised. I was taught that because I was raised by a single mother, right? So, and I have three sisters. So she was raising four girls, and she had to teach us to be strong. I guess she felt that she needed us to be strong, and in being strong, that meant you do not depend on a man. You know, men are dogs. They'll hurt you. You need to do your own thing. So subconsciously and not indirectly, directly, we were taught these things. You know, I personally should be part of that she woman man hater club because of what I was taught, but I'm not. You know, look at TV. Look at how you portrayed. I had a conversation on the way here. The only portrayals that we see of you all, dead, jail, deadbeats. Where are the Bill Cosbys?
Oh, just a comedian also. I notice I see a lot of shows and movies. The man is presented as someone who is unreliable, someone who's very, almost a buffoonish vibe, both for black men and white men too, in their defense, right? But it's like, it's a vibe where it's like you're definitely not dependable, and you're not to be taken seriously in the TV shows and movies, you know?
But when you say also white men too, when they do it, it's comedy. It's not something that sticks with them. When you all do it, that becomes a part of your characteristic and who you are as an individual and as a.
That's definitely true. That's definitely true. We've always maintained a negative view on black men. Like, no matter what, even if you look, if you dress the part, no matter which, it doesn't matter because you still have a negative view, even whether you're being pulled over by the police or you're living in a white neighborhood. They still look at you as there's no way you could be living a normal, prosperous life. They look at you like you're either dealing drugs or something is wrong if you're driving a nice car. It's a negative stigma and it only sticks with us. There's no other men truly that are treated the way black men are treated. Let's continue.
Man. And unfortunately, I'm not saying, I mean, there's good and bad apples in every bunch, but the bad apples are the ones that are being put on Front Street and that everybody is seeing. So, like, you're sitting here doing this, doing your thing, but you're categorized as a no good black man if you walk down the street and nobody knows anything about you.
Right.
They know something about you, still ain't shit.
That's right.
It's the truth, you know? It is. How long have you been married?
For 13 years.
13 years.
Mm-hmm.
How were you able to break that cycle? Because the excuses a lot of people have, the cop out is that, oh, I grew up in this environment and that impacted me so I can have a sustainable relationship. So when did you learn to have a sustainable relationship?
To be honest, and I don't know how she's gonna feel about this, but my mom had got remarried when I was about 13, and I saw the relationship between her and my stepdad, and I said I didn't want that. I wanted something different. I felt that when you love somebody, that there's a way that you treat people, and he was not my example of what a man was or what a relationship should be. I had a grandparent, well, both of my grandparents were married until the other one passed away. I have an aunt that married into my family with my mother's brother. I watched her be a wife. You know, she was my example of a godly woman and how a wife should be. And I took a lot of that from her. But innately, I just didn't feel that all men were bad. You know,
Yeah, I think that's one of the problems. Now, yeah, you're seeing a lot of black love. The thing is, in marriage, there's a lot of, we still go through issues, problems, and the problem that, a lot of people don't realize is, or we need our kids to realize that no matter what you're going through, you got to work towards it. And I think it's a matter of compromise, and we gotta always remember that we're not always right, and sometimes you gotta suck it up, and um, sometimes you just gotta realize that what you're trying to accomplish is bigger than any problem that you have, and it's hard. It's definitely hard, you know. And if you're not willing to work at it, then you're not gonna accomplish anything. You're not going to teach your kids if you have kids or anybody who's looking at you and anything good, especially if you don't put the effort in and put the time in. And to me, I look at it like, what's the point if you're not going to do the work? Why not do the work? It's not that hard. Like, it's either you're toxic and you just like fighting, you like to create a issue, and sometimes there's issues that you might think it's your feelings, but in a relationship, it's not about your feelings only. You have somebody else who's supposed to be your partner, your support, and they have feelings too. So the things that you do affects them as well, no matter how you feel, no matter how strongly you feel about it. If you hurt, they hurt. If they hurt, you hurt. That's the way it is. To me, that's logical. It's natural. And if you don't understand that, then maybe you should not be married. That's how I feel, like, personally. So, I mean, that's how I look at it. In order to be successful in your marriage, you gotta sometimes take an L. Sometimes you gotta compromise, but that's life in everything. Work, anything you do, that's life. So why not do it in your marriage as well?
I mean, I've had bad experiences with men,
And swallow the poison.
but not a little bit. a little lot of bit, but it wasn't enough for me to just damn all black men to hell. Like, no, I love black men. You know, I have a black son. You know, I got a black brother-in-law that just drove 2 hours to come with me to make sure that I'm safe. So when black women are talking about there are no good black men out here, black men don't care if you're safe or not, that's not my experience. I don't even think a lot of these women go through the things that they're saying, right? I think that they are mimicking and they're just in this echo chamber, right? Because right now it's hot. It's hot.
Cool.
It's hot to hate you. That's where you get the likes, the views, you get, you know, all of this other stuff. I don't even think that 90% of these women go through half of the crap that they are complaining about black men about. What I find funny is you have a black son, right? And you're saying this stuff, right? So what kind of man are you going to be putting into the world if you hate black men so much and you're out here proclaiming this? Your son is hearing this. So this is how I think it's systematic. It's because now they're hearing their mom complain about black men. Well, I'm a black man, so where does that leave me? So then you have another generation of a low self-esteem, young black men out in the world that don't trust women, that feel that women, you know, find no value in them. So what? Then we have a problem. This is the epidemic that we have, you know, but people aren't looking at it like that.
You brought up another great.
Yeah, I think like, you know, these mothers don't realize that the things that they do that affect their sons as well, who also grow up to be men, and then they start to look back at life when they're all grown up, have kids with other females, and realize like now they got to deal with the same thing their dad dealt with. It's just a it just cycles. It cycles, and I think we as individuals as need to realize like in order to stop that cycle, we gotta take a step back and look at our past as kids, look at what our parents went through, and try to figure out take the good and take and look at the bad and separate it. Like, what was the good things you took out of life, and what do you want for your family in the future, and basically, you know, what you don't want your kids to see. You know what I'm saying? And if you can't look towards the future, I mean, this generation really looks at life now and what they can get right now, but the future is always it's gonna come. You know what I'm saying? No matter what. And it determines your past, like they say, determines your future. And it definitely does. All right, now that we've that you know gotten through the video, that was a long video, but we're gonna break it up. But we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some of the comments and stuff right now. So let's look at this first comment, and it says, "As a Black American man, it's so refreshing to hear a Black woman understanding the struggles Black men are enduring. Most definitely, for sure." Let's look at something else. Another comment says, "My parents would have been married for 68 years, but my dad passed in March 1997. My siblings, aunts, and uncles been married for decades. I have had several examples of successful marriages. I'm 45 and we've been married for 24 years. We have two sons, ages 23 and 17. I will always go hard for Black men." That's good to hear, most definitely. All right. I'm glad I heard this interview. She is speaking everything I've been saying a long time. I just want to thank you guys. Don't forget to leave a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe if you didn't subscribe. Um, Thanks. And it's been a long, long time. We've been here for a while. But I do thank you guys for listening. And until next time, peace. We out.